What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for clicking on this video from WingMan University. My name is Nate, and today I wanted to share some of the thoughts that I had from last night. They're kind of spilling over in today that we did on our weekly WingMan Weekly show at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Monday night. And so I wanted to share some of those thoughts here today and kind of ask you guys this question of what is your print-on-demand strategy? So like I said, we did talk about that last night. I'm not sure we used the word strategy. I think we used the word mindset, but I'm changing it today to say, what is your print-on-demand strategy? And I wanted to bring up a conversation that we had on one of our 20-minute calls, which we appreciate you guys taking some time out of your day to speak with us. And one in particular was with Michelle. Michelle has been a fan of ours for a little bit. We've talked with her back and forth in a few different groups and things, and it was good to sit down with her. It was a shorter call, like the 20-minute call that we did, but it was good to sit down with her and just have her openly speak about her process and her strategy for how she's approaching print on demand. And I think it was one of the most fun conversations that we had out of all the 20-minute conversations we were doing, because it was basically like looking at me and Steven talking to each other about 3 years ago, where Steven is a very data-focused person. He loves the analytics of things and gets excited about figuring out how to get his listings ranked on Amazon and all those fun things that I don't so much enjoy. And that's very much the mindset that Michelle was coming from, of more of an analytical background. She literally opened up with showing her Excel spreadsheet, which I just started to chuckle at, because this is almost the exact same thing that Steven did with me 3 years ago when he was really getting passionate about print on demand. He was showing me, all of his spreadsheets that he had and how all of this data was going to tell us exactly what listing to make. And from my experience, I wanted to trust him. I wanted to put effort into that. But from my experience, it was just have an idea that comes to your head, put it up there. And if you do that enough times, then maybe something will stick and you can move forward from there, knowing that you did something that worked and seeing the patterns there and things like that. As I started on print on demand, only probably 3 months before Steven really got into it with me. But listening to Michelle definitely brought back some of those memories of when me and Steven first started off and had these two different strategies that we wanted to deploy on print on demand. And I kind of want to circle back to the question that I asked at the beginning of the show of what is your print on demand strategy? And I don't know if I'm challenging you guys, but I just want you to think about it and explain why having more of a hairpin trigger, as Steven would say, or just, not having so much pressure put on yourself to make the perfect listing out there, we have seen through these coaching calls, is probably more beneficial than you think, and at least in my eyes, a lot easier than finding the right keyword or the right artwork, creating the right artwork, as, especially with artwork, it's very subjective. And we have some ideas on how we can help people switch over to this mindset or this strategy. And we even talked about that on the Monday night show. So if you want to hear us talk, me and Steven both talk about this idea, you definitely can go back and watch that clip. But I'm really interested to hear from you guys who are watching these videos to see, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear I should just be putting out a ton of listings and maybe worrying about the research and things. Secondly, to actually getting listings up. For me, there was this big fear as an artist to make things that I can be proud of and that I can show off and that I can display behind me as things that I think are cool and show off my talent and my interest and my likes and things like that. But for print on demand, I don't show 99% of the designs that I make or now that my team makes, because they're not for me, they're not for my friends and family, they're for the customers on Amazon, and they're specific to those customers on Amazon. So 99% of the stuff I personally wouldn't wear, and I don't think looks it looks good as far as quality goes, but it's not something that I would be happy to wear on a shirt, or I would be putting on a wall behind me. These are designs that are for WingMan University that I personally made that I think are cool. But I'm definitely not doing that with all of the shirts that we create. So that was a big hurdle for me. And actually, there was some fear around that of if I put up something on Amazon and, it comes back that it was made by me, but it's for this other customer base, that's going to make me feel insecure. And I am ashamed of that a little bit, because I'm selling this thing that I don't personally think is the greatest thing in the world. So I had to kind of get over that hurdle. And that's definitely a very real hurdle, I think, from people coming from an art background of I just need to put stuff up there that's going to make other people happy, that's going to make it possible to build a customer base and figure out what these customers like, even though they're not my personal interest. And while I think that's a very real barrier, if you had to ask Steven kind of that same question, I don't think that's ever something that crossed his mind. And so that's why I wanted to open this question up to you guys and hear from you down in the comments of, when you think about just putting listings up there, what are the barriers that come up in your mind? Is it the actual like mechanics of how do you get more listings up there? How do you go from an idea in your head to actually making the listing on Merch by Amazon or whatever platform you're using? Or are there some other barriers that I'm just not aware of that you guys might feel? Maybe it's the time. Maybe you need to figure out how to do that quicker. Or, there are so many possibilities and so many things that I think could be hindering people from just getting these listings up, when truly that's the best thing that you could do for your print-on-demand business, especially starting off, because you need those data points to be working off of. Even if you made, a ton of listings and none of them sold, at least you would know all of those things that you should probably just stay away from, or you just need to retarget, and maybe you need to then learn how to do better keywords or make better art. And we can help you look at some of that data and decide, like, are your shirts showing up and people just aren't purchasing them because they don't like the designs? Or are you doing awesome designs but you don't have any keywords to support them, so you need to just target those customers better with actual words that they would be typing in when they are looking for that type of product? So there's been a lot of ideas thrown around with me and Steven and our team over the last couple of months of how we can help people, be more successful with print on demand, and how can we get people to work together inside of this print on demand space. But we're not quite ready to deploy any of the plans that we have, because we just want to make sure they're right for this audience. And so that was the whole purpose of doing the 20-minute calls. I think I started all of them by saying, we're not trying to sell you anything. We're not trying to push you to do anything. We're really just trying to figure out where you're at and how we can best serve you as we're making this content on YouTube and Facebook and on Zoom for people who are watching. We're not just trying to make stuff that makes me and Steven happy or makes us feel good that we put out like another course or something. We want to make sure that it's actually benefiting the people who are taking time out of their day to watch our videos. So I'm serious, please, after this video or right now, you can pause it, just go down to the comments and let us know what are some roadblocks that come to your mind when you start thinking about this business. If you're just starting off, or if you've been doing this for a long time and maybe there's something that still grinds your gears about this business, like, oh man, I hate making listings. I wish I could just outsource that or find a way to make that faster. We're working on a lot of the stuff behind the scenes, both for Merch by Amazon, but also other print-on-demand platforms. And maybe that's where you're at. We had some of those calls where people are having success with Merch by Amazon, but they want to move to other platforms that they're seeing other people have success with. And how can you do that pretty seamlessly without dropping one thing and then only focusing on this new thing? The cool part about print-on-demand is, even though I love print-on-demand and Steven loves print-on-demand, I think we love it for completely different reasons. I really love partnering with people and seeing how we can help them monetize an audience that they might already have, or create some type of winning system for their business. And Steven really loves it for the data and the analytics of it, and thinking about if we can target these customers and make all of these products, print on demand style, then we don't have to put a lot of money up front like we had done in previous businesses. And we can really target in on them and provide them the exact type of products that they're looking for. But I think it's hard to find your lane inside of print on demand if you don't have the right mindset when you're starting off, or even after you've started a little bit and you're just looking for ways to expand, because this is a much different business model than kind of the traditional ways of selling online, as I personally think about them, which is like OA and RA and private label and all these other things that me and Steven had done in the past. But I think it actually harmed us going into this business, especially Steven. I didn't carry so much of that baggage from those types of traditional selling, and I think a lot more people would be having success with print on demand if they understood that it takes a mindset change, it takes a strategy change to get started. But that doesn't mean that you just have to throw away all that previous knowledge, or it's not going to be applicable. It's just you need that initial data to start with before you can really start deploying. I have all these spreadsheets to track all of these things, and this is how we're going to move forward with the business, and here are rules that we're going to follow. Because I personally think that experience is the best teacher, and we're more than happy to help you after you have some experience. But it's really hard to tell someone about this business without them kind of getting their feet wet and making just a bunch of listings and figuring out their system for getting listings up. And once you have that system, then it's a lot easier to talk with me and Steven or anyone else who's been doing print on demand for a while and talk strategy and how you're using that data to move forward, rather than how are you getting that data. The best way to get that data is just make a bunch of listings. So we're gonna make more content around this topic. I'm sorry if I was kind of all over the place today. It's still still a fairly new idea that we're trying to wrangle in and figure out the best thing to do with it, but we do want to hear from you guys. We want to hear what are some of the immediate thoughts that come to your head, maybe some of the things that might be hindering you from moving forward, and how can we help you in those areas. All right, guys, I hope that you have a great week. We'll see you on Thursday, and then we'll see you on the Monday call next week at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'd love to talk with you guys. We're trying to really make that just a group conversation more than me and Steven, preaching at you guys or anything like that. So we appreciate you, but until the next one, we'll see you around.